So you being a unknown author, I think that your best bet would be to do something like this through Kickstarter. The reason being, how to publish your first book. This is a one-on-one session with Dean Victor Varnado with today's student, Shanna Christmas. Why don't we talk about like what questions you have that I can answer for you, or at least I'll try to answer, because I definitely do not have all the answers. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Well, for me, I've always kind of been bouncing around with my creativity in terms of like, maybe I should write a script about my life as a therapist in nursing homes. That would be an interesting kind of sitcom thing, maybe, but I don't really know how to write scripts and it's very intimidating to me. And so I thought maybe that I could take some of the funny interactions I've had with my patients and make it into like an illustrated book.
Okay.
Just like, as opposed to like writing a full-on TV show. I think that would be a better kind of segue and still kind of get those things out.
Yeah. So are you thinking like a book that's like a comic book, or a book that's like I guess like a picture book, which is different than a comic book?
I would like to have someone draw out the actual like scenarios. Like, do you know Steve Martin's new book? He paired with an artist, and they kind
Harry
of just,
Bliss, yeah.
Right. Something like that I think would be really cool to do.
Oh, okay. I mean, I would say that's totally doable. What are your questions about it, though? You feel like?
I mean, in terms of like, first off, doing the book, and then how do you talk to different publishing people, or do you do it yourself? How do you get it made, or
Okay. Yeah, well, there's lots of different ways, and I can tell you because I've thought about them recently, because I'm actually in the middle of my first book deal. I just got like part of the advance for my first book.
Wow.
And it's basically a fake highlights magazine book, where the subject of the book, I'm not supposed to talk about it just yet. So the subject of the book is something that a highlights magazine would never be the subject of. Okay. But anyways, cool. It's an activity book, fake activity book. All right. And, but so I've thought about this a lot, and I've talked to a lot of people because I ask people questions all the time. And so I think I might have a couple of answers for you. So, so what you're talking about, first I'll say what I think the best recommendation is, and then I'll say what I think other options are.
Okay.
So you being a unknown, like you're an unknown author, I think that your best bet would be to do something like this through Kickstarter. The reason being because it's actually not that expensive, and it's not that expensive to do it. It's actually free to do it. And you don't actually have to have a high goal because it's a book. So if you actually have all the pieces of the book done, then you can actually set up on Amazon and have them printed by order. So like it only makes books every time someone orders it. That's already set up on Amazon. So like if you just have all the pages of your book done, you can just format it like through PDF or whatever software they ask you to format it in as a book, and then upload it to Amazon, and then people can order the book and they'll get a hard copy of the book, but you don't have to like have a bunch of pre-orders or prints. So if you have the ability to get to an audience directly, you could actually just sell your book and not have to worry about a giant publisher. And the number two thing, the reason I think that Kickstarter is good for you, because I've seen you online and I know that you're active online and people respond to you. So it would be the type of thing that where you could set like a low bar for yourself. And so mostly Kickstarter will be just to get some copies out there so that you can say that you have copies out there, and as a publicity stunt so people can buy your book, which is later on Amazon. Okay. And then also there is a thing called Kick Booster. Okay, so Kick Booster is an interesting thing, because if you're doing a Kickstarter project and you make it to over, I think, like 75% of your goal, like 60 or 75% of your goal, then you can upload it to this website called Kick Booster. And what Kick Booster does is it parades out all of these Kickstarter projects, and then influencers, like with giant followings, they cherry pick those projects and they pick one of them to feature, because Kick Booster gives them an affiliate link, so they get a cut of whatever they sell on their show. And they always pick projects that already look like they're going to succeed. That's why you put it up there when you have 60 or 75%. So, but then if your project is good, when the influencers pick it up, it has a chance to go viral. Okay? So this is stuff that a lot of people actually don't know, and I've just been researching. And so like, yeah, and so basically, if you've got a book project and your goal is, like, say your goal is just like, I don't know, like $1,000, okay, which is not like a huge amount, and you want to sell like enough books to get $1,000. When it gets to like 600 or 700, you can put it on Kick Booster, and then there's nothing stopping it from like going way over and, you know, making $10,000, $20,000, because it has a chance to go viral, because your cost of getting into it is pretty low. You only have one main cost, I think, and that is an artist.
Right. That was my next question.
Yeah. And so in that case, I'm going to drink some more water. Hey, water coming at ya. Delicious. Delicious water. So your main thing that you have to pay for is an artist. And there's a lot of ways to approach an artist. One, you could tell them your plan, like I'm telling you this plan, and then you could just say, hey, will you work for this for a cut of the book? Some people will say yes. I don't know what the names of those forums are, but I guarantee you they exist. Are forums like either on Facebook or on some other platform where you can probably post to a whole bunch of artists at once, and you can say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Is there an artist who's willing to be part of this? And I would cut you in for X amount of dollars. Or you'll say, I can pay a low fee up front, this amount of dollars, and then cut you in for this on the book, and this is my whole plan. Are you interested in it? And there's no danger in doing this, because your book, nobody's going to steal your idea, because your book is very personal to you, so you can just actually post about what you're going to do like 100%. And so you could probably find an artist that way. If you can't find an artist that way, you may have to save up your pennies and at least pay for an artist to do a couple of pages. Right. Like at least a couple of pages, because if people will do a couple of pages, then you can use that to do the Kickstarter and have those couple of pages of examples. So then when you get to 1,000 whatever, then you have enough money to maybe pay your artist. So you can you can run the Kickstarter to pay your artist, and then the other people, the influencers, can pick it up and then feature it on Kick Booster, and maybe it'll go through the stratosphere. So that whole thing that I just described to you is what I would think that your being yourself is your best bet. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
That's my guess. That's what I think is your best bet. Do you have any questions before I tell you other avenues?
In terms of like a book of that style, is there like a page amount you think would be a good start of like how many pages it should be? Or
well, I mean, I think that if you're going for if you're trying to make it like a highly effective book, like a book where people are like, oh my gosh, this is telling me a real story about life, or you're trying to make it a book that is funny anecdotes, there's a difference between how many pages I think it should be.
I want the funny anecdote stuff.
Oh, then that can be shorter. That's actually easier, because one of the things about books that are funny anecdotes or that have like kind of a hook is, as long as the hook is good, people don't really care about how long the book is. They just care that it's good. So if you are if you're doing something and you're like, this is the whole setup, then I would just put in your best version of stories and pick the link that way. Because if you're like, I can't, make 100 different stories or whatever, don't worry about it. Like if your book is 50 pages, that's fine. Like that's totally cool. Because if it is sort of like a gimmick or a hook to it, then as long as it's doing it really, really well, people aren't going to be upset about how long it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I do want to say this. I'm only doing my first book right now. I'm just going by what I have learned and what I think. So, if you find somebody who's like, nah, I've been in this business for 75 years, I say the opposite. Maybe they're right. I'm just saying what I think I know and have learned.
No, that's why I asked you, because you know a lot. So I don't think I'm going to know anybody else that knows more than you.
Really? That seems unlikely.
You're the only person I know who can like draw and stuff. I don't know any of that. So, and you do a lot of other
if the
things.
bar is just drawing, then okay.
Trust me, I can't draw. If I were to do it myself, it would just be like a stick figure with a big butt on it. It would not be good. So I'm asking you because you've had like actual art published somewhere, so you know that section of like creativity that I don't know. So I don't know anybody else that's done that yet.
Well, don't put down your art as long as it has a big butt on it. So, I mean, as long as it has a big butt on it, it's all right.
Yeah,
that's just what I say. Okay, so then your other options would be to try and get an agent who would help you get a deal with the publisher before the book comes out. In order for that to happen, you'll have to make a book proposal, which means you'll still have to get an artist, get a couple of pages, then basically write the outline of what the book is going to be, and then submit that to agents, and then agents will submit it to publishers for you. Sometimes you can go straight to publishers, especially if they're smaller publishing houses. And there are tons of them. There are tons and tons of very small publishing houses who are more than happy to look at whatever you got. But if you're trying to go big, then you're going to need to go to an agent and then to a big publishing place. Sometimes you can also go directly to a big publishing place, but that's also usually through a personal connection. Because a lot of big publishing places, they get a lot of stuff in, so they don't want to deal with people who don't know what they're doing, which it really helps if you have an agent who knows what they're doing, because if they have got a lot of volume and a lot of stuff to go through, it helps that someone has already culled the stuff that is terrible for them, which is why agents are good in that case. In order to get to an agent, I would say that an easy way to do it is to go to any of those seminars, whether online or whatever, where there's like 6 agents talk about the business and stuff like that. Because if they're talking about the business that is in and around your book, a lot of the times you'll be able to ask them questions. And when you ask them questions, just try to make an impression and then get their contact information. You can usually do it at those things. Sometimes they just give it out because they're like, we're looking for stuff right now. If you want to, you can contact us and they'll tell you. And then you can submit to them and talk to them that way. But always, of course, be respectful and curt so that you don't waste everybody's time. But that's I would say would be the route if you wanted to go the agent route. I think that route is fine, but it's not as... I think it's easier for you to do the book the other way I just said, and you'll probably make more money the other way.
Right.
With something like Kickstarter. At least your first one out. I mean, if you did go through an agent and you went through a giant publisher and they put a bunch of marketing behind it and you became America's darling, yes, you would make a lot of money on that book too. But I think that if you're just like, I want to put this book out and I want to have the biggest chance of making money, then I would say Kickstarter, that Kickstarter route with Kick Booster would be like the best route for you to start it off. Then the other way is that you could skip Kickstarter and just self-publish. So skipping Kickstarter and self-publishing is also pretty easy. That is when you basically just take your book, You put it in a PDF format or whatever format that the platform that you're using needs, and then you upload it to that platform, and then people can buy the books on demand, print on demand. That is, Amazon does that. They have print on demand books, and there are other sites. I forgot what they are called, but there's like other different sites. There's one called like a lightning bug or something. I forget what it was, but it doesn't matter. Named after some sort of insect or whatever. But they exist all over the internet. They're called print on demand. So if you go print on demand for books, you'll find a bunch of sites, and then you can just do that. And in that case, your job will be just to advertise your book after it's done, and then just get people to buy it that way, however you might want to do it. I would also suggest that either of these that you do, look for places, because there's tons of places online that are looking for indie books to review, or they're looking to publish excerpts from indie books. They do it on Medium a lot. There's a publication on Medium called Spiral Bound. They're specifically asked for work that is in the process of being published that is not done yet. They want to preview work that has cartoons or stuff in it. And so Spiral Bound, like they're specifically looking for that. There are other publications like that, and blogs, et cetera, et cetera. And I just think that because it costs you no money other than just reaching out to those people, and they are looking for specifically for content like yours, you should definitely do that in either of these versions, so that you get that free marketing and they get material for their blog, which is what they're looking for anyway. So that's what I would suggest. Those are my suggestions in a nutshell.
Wow. See, I knew I asked the right person.
I mean, maybe. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
I mean, I've never heard of like Kick Booster before. I mean, I did have like the one step where I actually reached out to an artist and asked her to do a few of the drawings for me. Just so I could have an idea of what it looked like and what I wanted to do. But the other stuff, I mean, I forgot about Kickstarter, to be quite honest. But yeah, that would be a really cool idea for me to do. I think people would like to do it.
Yeah, Kickstarter has evolved a lot, and so that's actually what happens a lot. Like when it's like when you forget about something, because it came out when Kickstarter came out, it was hot and everybody was talking about Kickstarter like crazy. But it has continued to evolve since then, and so now that like if people already have a following and they know that a Kickstarter is a good idea because it's already almost been funded, and then they can show it to their people and help boost the Kickstarter, and then they get a cut of it. That's like a new thing. That wasn't part of Kickstarter when it started. That's new, which is awesome, and you can take advantage of that.
It's like the Herbalife, the multi-level marketing of Kickstarter.
It is. It's just like Amway, or was it Mary Kay? Is that the products, the Mary Kay products?
Right.
Nexium. Is it Nexium?
What is? Oh no, not that.
That's the sex cult. Yeah. Yeah, it's a sex cult. Kickstarter's now a sex cult. So, good luck with it. Do you have any other questions that I can answer? You have 10 minutes if you want them.
I don't have any more questions.
That's totally cool. You don't have to have any more questions. You're all good.
More questions, but I don't have any. If anything, I'm just like excited to go do it at this point, which is what a good instructor is supposed to inspire, right?
Nice. And I'm excited. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This is the Arts Academy Podcast 101 session. I am Dean Victor Varnado. Yes, I made myself a dean. I am Dean Victor Varnado. Shanna Christmas was on today, and we talked about publishing books. Remember, you can find us at Alt Arts Academy on all social media and artsacademypodcast.com.